Hey there, Jasper from Mammoth here today with a video discussing Alteryx's pricing. Now, if you've been on Alteryx's website, you've probably seen that they have a starting price publicly listed at $4,950 a year. However, as you know, with a lot of starting prices, usually the final bill doesn't end up being the same amount as what the starting figure is. If you want to see what other numbers look like, unfortunately, Alteryx doesn't share it, which prompted us to make this article that I'm referencing here in this video, which you can find just by Googling Alteryx pricing if you want more information, and to figure out a little bit more about exactly how much Alteryx does cost. So I'm going to go through this article and explain what we found through our research and share with you more or less what the cost of Alteryx really is. Of course, this won't be the final verified price from Alteryx. We do recommend speaking with their sales team if you are serious about trying out the tool. But if you're just trying to get a budget list together of what the best tools are, this video can be helpful in that research process. So cutting straight into it, we've seen users reference the price of Alteryx being anywhere from that $49.50 per year all the way up to $80,000 per year. And it really depends on these different factors that I've listed here, right? If you want a basic license, you'll see something closer to that $49.50. But the average user is going to pay closer to around $10,000 to $20,000 per year. And if you're on the higher end, you have bigger data needs, larger teams, you're going to be looking at somewhere around $50,000 per year. So they don't have a free trial if you sign up for Alteryx, but they can give you a customized demo, which is going to give you more of a real life understanding of what your company could look like if you're using Alteryx. Now, there are extra fees, which aren't necessarily detailed. I'm going to explain a little bit more about what they can look like. But Alteryx doesn't necessarily break down all those extra fees. And they don't have that pricing transparency. So you do need to talk to their sales team, like I mentioned, for a quote. Finally, what I'll say about their pricing in this quick overview is that they do ask you to pay for a full year upfront. So they don't have a monthly plan like we do at Mammoth, where you can just sign up for a month, try it out, and cancel anytime you want. You do have to sign a contract and be there for at least a full year if you decide to commit to Alteryx. So there is a high level of commitment. So getting to those extra fees, the first thing you have are features, right? So there's the designer license, which gives you access to the core data prep and analytics tools. But if you want things like predictive modeling, automation, or cloud access, you are going to need to pay more for Alteryx. You also will need to pay a bit extra if you want to customize the integrations that you have with Alteryx. So there are a lot of tools out of the box you can connect to Alteryx, but if you want something a bit more custom, you will probably need custom work that comes along with that. Pricing is per user, so you will have to pay for extra seats, which is quite standard in this space. There are designer licenses, and with a lot of these tools, oftentimes you'll also see licenses that are just for access and for visualizing, and those usually are lower cost or they don't cost, but designer licenses for sure you'll need to pay extra per user. Of course, organization size is a big factor. So if you have a larger organization, not only will you need more people, which are more user seats, but you'll also need a larger server with more collaboration automation baked into that. So that's also going to increase your price and get you closer to that higher end price I mentioned before. Finally, you are going to need to talk to their sales team. We do have mentioned here, just a quick little pro tip on sales negotiation. Like I said, at Mammoth, we have our pricing publicly listed. We don't really do this price negotiation, but we are here to help you figure out the process of getting a good price. And usually we recommend thinking of a price that you would be willing to pay for the tool after doing research, looking at articles like this one, maybe others, and then try to lower that price by 10 to 20%. And that can help you with a starting number for your negotiation. That way you're not trying to negotiate at your final number from the start and end up paying more than that. So again, how Alteryx stacks up to Mammoth, you can read more through this in the article, but to put it bluntly, right, our pricing is more public, we're more transparent, and it's much lower. You're looking at least 3 times cost saving if you're looking at that $49.50 per year. But again, it oftentimes will be much more expensive for Alteryx, and our pricing only changes with our predetermined plans. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. I think maybe one more thing that is interesting to share is that there are different types of tools in this space. So as you're looking at prices, you might see different ways of structuring prices, different categories of prices. And so I'll leave you just with kind of this more theoretical idea of how the space is built out. There's really 3 different types of software platforms for the data analytics marketplace, right? You have business intelligence platforms that are going to be looking at dashboards, reporting. You have data science and AI tools that are helping you with predictive modeling, data automation. And then you have all-in-one platforms that combine different areas like that transformation, like the automations, like the dashboarding, like the analytics, all into one tool. Alteryx as well as Mammoth, we both fall into that category. So if you're looking for that all-in-one solution, you'll want to keep looking at tools like Alteryx, looking at tools like ours with Mammoth. And of course, if you want a demo of Mammoth, we also offer that. So you can reach out and we can show you around the product before you sign up. But you're going to be looking at those platforms. Whereas if you're more singular in your use case, it might be worth exploring maybe the other tools like Tableau or Data Robot if you have a lower budget and you're just looking for single use case tools. So again, I'll leave it at that. If you want to look at the article, right, we have useful tools like this comparison table that goes through all the different features and all the different pricing of all these tools. And we also have a bit of a conclusion just explaining a little bit more about these closing thoughts. But again, hope this was all useful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the comments, reach out to us directly. If you're curious about checking out Mammoth, definitely sign up. We can give you a demo and we're here to help you out. All right. Best of luck in your research and hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.